What's up, Deuterinos? Welcome back to the Game Addicts podcast, the show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am this podcast player, Brando, and I'm alone today because I am convinced this podcast is cursed. This is episode 104, and we've tried to record this podcast twice. So what happened to 104? What's going on with 104? Well, first of all, today in the States is Thanksgiving, so for Mike, I want to wish all of you in the States a happy Thanksgiving, happy safe travels to each and every one of you. I hope this podcast finds you well. And so what's going on with this podcast? So for those of you who don't know, we did an extra live stream this year for the first time over on twitch.tv/GameAddictsPlay. And we did a 13-hour stream, 12 hours gaming, but the first hour was pretty much us still kind of waking up, and we did a podcast. We did the first ever Game Addicts Morning Edition, right? Well, we did that whole hour, and then there was a little snafu, and we got kicked from the stream, so we had to reconnect, get back on there. And everything was fine. The only issue was the entire first hour, the entire podcast, the pitch is altered to sound really deep. And it sounds like kind of like Optimus Prime. Not going to lie. So I listened to it. I'm like, I don't know how to fix it. So we just recorded this week like normal over on Twitch. And if you watched live, you heard it. If you did not, well, it's the same. It's the exact same. We even did a test. And the test was perfect. And then as soon as I hit that go live button, it messed up. So I don't know what's going on with that. I did figure out how to fix the pitch, but there's also like a connection issue of some sorts where it keeps cutting out. The audio keeps like little clicking, and you hear it almost sounds like I'm talking, and then it clicks and it really quickly goes to the end of the sentence or whatever. So that's really disheartening to put in almost an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes of a great episode. It was a great episode of us talking about Black Friday and some of the stuff that we got. He got some stuff for his PC, for his setup at his house, for our podcast. And, of course, I got some games from GameStop, having a great deal over there. And then we talked about Fallout 76 and what he likes and doesn't like about it. And then I gushed about Red Dead Redemption 2, which I beat the main story of, and I'm still waiting on finishing the epilogue, although I've kind of already been spoiled about that. But I haven't experienced it, so I have no doubt that game is going to end with the credits, whatever, it's going to end fantastically. But I wanted to jump on here and kind of explain why there's not a real episode, because it was literally kind of last minute. So this is Thursday morning, and pretty much, the episode's going up late to all of you guys. There will be no video version over on YouTube like there normally is from Twitch. I'm not going to put that up, because I don't know. It was cool that I figured out how to fix the pitch, but it's also frustrating that I don't want it to sound like crap, man. Me personally, I want to put out a podcast that at least, I know we're not perfect. I know we have, pop filter issues. Sometimes our P's pop more than what we want them to. But I definitely want to put something out that is, that you're able to listen to, a dude talking for a while. And you'll be able to put it, throw it onto your car or your mobile phone. And I'm sorry if my voice sounds scratchy. I literally got up this morning early before my family, and it was like I was laying in bed. I'm like, maybe I can fix that with the pitch correct. And yeah, kind of. So I said I got some games, so I'll go through those. So GameStop's having a great Black Friday deal. They're having a lot of great sales over there. If you buy any PS4, Xbox One, or Switch console, you get a $50 gift card. They have bundles They have the Spider-Man PS4 1 TB bundle with this normal slim console for $200. You can't beat that. And then there's the Xbox One S 1 TB for $200 with Minecraft. And even if you don't like Minecraft, well, you're getting a $50 gift card and you can get another game. So, and then also, if you have Xbox, subscribe to Game Pass. No joke. So what did I get? Well, I went in and don't drop them. So I went in and got Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is the DLC expansion for Uncharted 4, and it was $10. And I'm a big physical DLC collector. I could have just downloaded this, but no, I had to have a physical one, and I couldn't say no for $10. And my cat's at the door. Yeah, you're probably gonna hear the cat because it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast just sitting in my game room, and he likes to just stick his nose right under my door and tell me how starving he is. So the next game, Horizon Zero Dawn, I have not played this. This was Game of the Year for a lot of people that year, and it got really high reviews. This is the complete edition with all the DLC. So it's awesome for $10. This is a steal. If you don't have this and have never played this, go and get this from GameStop. For $10, literally, you're doing yourself a disservice. And then for $20, I got Detroit Become Human, which is the latest from Quantum Dream. They're the guys that did Indigo Prophecy on the PS2, Xbox, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. They're more adventure games, kind of like the old some of the old Sierra games or PC adventure games, where you kind of go through and it's a slower pace. It's not action, and you're piecing stuff together. You're interacting with things, and you're going through cutscenes, going through dialogue, and you can kind of help shape the narrative. And I've always felt like from the first time I played Indigo Prophecy that, man, these guys are awesome. I love how they build a narrative, and I've loved all the other games, so I've been waiting to pick this up. And for $20, I mean, perfect time to grab it. They have some other deals too. I wanted to get some other games, but unfortunately, funds are not infinite, in my pocket, so I couldn't go in and just drop down some cash. They did have some other bundles. Of course, you could get the Switch. You can get a Nintendo Switch with Mario Kart 8 for $300. That's the base price of the Switch, so you get a free game. However, just the other day, they had on Facebook Marketplace, of all places, right? There was this place called Daily Steals, a storefront on there, who had Switches. The gray model with the gray Joy-Cons, and then the red and blue for $180 US. So that is crazy. That's absolutely nuts. And of course, it sold out in minutes. There's no reason to believe that would stay in stock at all. That probably broke the internet for a minute. I don't know. I was at work, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I know somebody who wants one. And then the next thing I knew, they were gone. I've done early morning podcasts before, so please excuse my brain at this moment, because it's been a while. It has been a while. It was a long night, stressful night. Today I will be driving probably around 3.5 to 4 hours, maybe longer in the car. So I'm going to be charging up the Switch for sure, just in case I don't drive, because then that means I have something to do. Best thing for the Switch right there. Switch, Pokemon Let's Go is doing pretty well. It's getting review bombed, of course, just like everything. I did see IGN came out with their Fallout 76 review. That came out as a 5. And the episode that you won't hear, hopefully maybe we can recap it a bit next week. Mike gave his opinion on the game, and I'll just give you a hint, or give you a little bit of a spoiler. He's not too hot on the game. He likes it. He likes playing with his wife. They can play. They can both play a game that they like. Fallout. They both enjoy spending time together. So it's like, if it wasn't for that, maybe he would be pretty upset. But we'll dive into the little minutia of stuff next week on that. But so for the last month, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And I finally beat Arthur's story. So I'm going to go spoilerific on this game. And if you don't want to hear it, please turn the podcast off. And it was good seeing you guys. Thank you for listening so far. This is not much of an episode, I'm afraid. But for Red Dead, I'm definitely going to go into some spoilers. So I'll count it down, and then you guys turn the podcast off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a benchmark, in my opinion, of this generation. It is some of the highest quality storytelling that I have seen in gaming. It has such deep characters and lore. For its setting, you don't see too many Western games, but literally they almost like went as deep as some of the Bethesda efforts with the newspapers and all the little stuff that you can read about in the world. There's lore everywhere. And I think it's a testament to all the hard work that Rockstar teams put into it. The story, the actual story, is a little bit drawn out, but I feel like it's done on purpose, because by the time you get to the end, you care about a lot of these characters. And I feel like that was definitely done deliberately, but done so appropriately. I've always said that the first Red Dead Redemption, the whole story is about John's redemption. It's from beginning to end, atoning for his past sins. In this game, it doesn't really start until about the latter third of the game. For spoilers, Arthur, your player character, gets diagnosed with tuberculosis, which is pretty much a death sentence. And so now his fate is fixed. He knows that he's going to die, right? The only thing is that now what? Does he? This whole time he's been working for Dutch, working for the gang, trying to get away, trying to get to paradise, and now he knows that he's dead. Whatever money they need to get, whatever place they're gonna get, it's not gonna benefit him. But so then you're looking at the people around you. You're looking at what he can do for them, and salvation is not really in Arthur's view, but if he can make sure that those other people, those good people that he's with, if he can make sure that those people are well off and safe, then it will have been worth it. So I really liked that part. Like, he can only do so much to atone, and he knows it. When you play as Arthur, you're given the opportunity a lot of times to be just a mean, a-hole, or you can try and help people. And it's funny because the game, you're in a gang, so you're put into situations where you're killing people a lot of the times, but also a lot of those times you get fired up on first. So, yes, there's big shootouts and all this crap going on, but a lot of times, you're thrust into the situation where you feel like it's justified. And then towards the end of the game, Dutch starts killing people without a reason, really. He starts making up these reasons. He starts, justifying what he's doing, but it's not serving a purpose. It's like, you didn't have to do that type of deal. And I really feel like Dutch started rolling off the rails. I mean, it started happening before, but even after Hosea was killed. Hosea is, of course, he's one of the guys that was there along with Arthur from the beginning, and for 20 years. Hosea was this older guy. He was a crook, just like any of them, but he seemed to always kind of be like the voice of reason. Come on here, we got to think about this. We can't let this go bad. And when he was killed by Agent Milton during the bank robbery, Like the moment they brought him out in the middle of the street, I went, "Oh, he's dead." And yeah, he was. And then of course, there's another character who gets killed right after that, Lenny. And Lenny's a side character, but you actually do missions and stuff with Lenny, and you don't get to know him maybe too well, but you get to know that he's a good guy, other than robbing people, but you know, he doesn't really like, openly go and just kill people. But these characters that you care about, yeah, they one by one kind of take them away, and then it's funny because then the ones that are like, going towards Dutch's side, those are the guys that are in Red Dead Redemption, the original game, that John is hunting down for the Pinkertons, and that's really cool. I like how like they were really shaping the game and they were really shaping the story, to meet up with that story eventually because. Well, Arthur's not in the original game, and I just said he got tuberculosis, so of course he dies. But I like that because you don't in the original Red Dead, they just kind of threw John's death upon you. You went to do a mission and you were herding horses, and then the next mission you were fighting off the army, and all of a sudden he died. It was like, whoa, that just kind of came out of nowhere. But for this one, it's like you're told you're going to die. So then it's about the journey there. And I liked that. It was like having a death sentence, knowing you're going to die, but choosing what you do with your remaining time left. That was awesome. That was an awesome feeling that it was the best way because how do you answer that question of how do we kill Arthur because he's not in, the game at all. But I love the way that they did it. I think it's perfect because, if you had played the other game, you pretty much already know what's going to happen. Kind of, you know that he's not around. So by that token, I really enjoy the way that they did it because then, Arthur makes his last stand in hopes for John to get away. John, has a wife and kid. Go do good by them. The thing is that Arthur had a son at one point with a girl, with a 19-year-old girl, and he tried to take care of him, did his best. Every couple months, he'd ride in and stay with them. He'd give him money, and one day he came back, and they were dead. There were 2 crosses outside their house, and they were robbed for $10 and killed. So I think in a way it's important for Arthur. It's important for Arthur to get John and that family safe because it's something that he could never have. And now he knows it's something that he could never have. Before it was something that was emotionally blocking for him. It's like how can he open himself up again to risk that loss? I mean, he loves Mary. Mary's a character that gets, introduced in like chapter 2. It's like his old flame, but he was a crook. So like he never got accepted by her family, but she loves him and he loves her, but they both know it's, they can't, this is a lost cause. And that was tragic. Every time that you met her and did stuff with her, you can choose to help her or not. But I always did. And because that's the person that I am. Even if I know I can't be with somebody, I want them to be happy. And if I can do anything to help them in their situation, I will. And I felt like, this is my Arthur. So that's what I'm doing with Arthur. And it was a little torturous, to put him through that. But, I totally get it, because I've kind of been there in a way. But Arthur's journey to the end, making that stand, and then of course you find out, there's a rat. The whole game is about the downfall of the gang, and it starts off, with you riding through the mountains after something bad already happened. The gang's kind of regrouping, and the gang never really recovers because every single time they try to make a new score, they try to do this, it always goes bad. So. It's always a matter of perspective, because, for Arthur, he's looking at all these things that are going wrong, and Dutch, he's looking for the next. There's always a next door. For his perspective, it's like, well, all he needs one more. And Arthur's like, I've heard that so many times. But so then the doubt starts in, and Dutch is like, you never doubted me. I need loyalty above everything. And that was, that's all Arthur knew for a long time. But then even after he gets sick and he sees like Dutch is losing it, then you find out that Micah's a rat. Micah is a character who's been hanging around for about 6 months. And for the most of the game, he's antagonistic. I wanted to punch him in the face so many times. And of course, in a game like this, that's like a Grand Theft Auto, and they give you so much freedom, there are certain people they won't let you do that to, right? So you find out Micah talked and has been steering Dutch in this direction. And of course, by this point, the damage is done. You're not going to be able to get Dutch to see truth. Dutch has already left John when John got arrested after a bank job. He left him, or that's what John said. And then when Arthur gets in trouble, he leaves Arthur. And then when John gets in trouble again at the end, where you think he might be dead, he left him. So it's like he cares more about getting rich now than he does about the people who he's considered family. And that's like the downfall of Dutch. It's like, I want to say, that he believed what he said all those years about bringing these people in, giving them a place, helping them, feeding them, shooting them. We do whatever it needs to be done, And in the end, when things got so bad, he started caring more about himself. So like I don't want to say that like Dutch was always this villain. I mean, in a way, you are the villains. I mean, you're outlaws, you're a gang, but there was always a purpose. And I like how Dutch slowly turns into more of a villain. It's almost like you have a couple of different paths that these stories outline. Like a character named Charles. He's half black, half Native American, and he goes back to a local tribe. He helps them during their time after Dutch uses them. So he leaves the gang. And man, Charles is such a good character. He doesn't belong in that gang. What I loved is that Arthur knows that, and Arthur put in his journal that Charles puts too much emphasis on trying to help people, and that it's a stark contrast to the battle of good and evil that is within Arthur, which I love how they represent that. I love how when Arthur gets tuberculosis, it's because he's being, that loan shark guy going out and getting the money, and you're beating the crap out of this guy, and he spits in your face, and he was sick. He spits blood in your face, and that's how you get tuberculosis. It's almost, it's karma. It's what you do, can affect your life. It's an old adage: good things happen to good people, right? That's not always true, but if you live your life of being bad and dishonor, and that can come back on you tenfold for sure. Because whether or not, if you're breaking the law or if you're like really twisting people, eventually it's like, it's that old comeuppance thing. It's like you'll put it into perspective, or at least a rational person would. It's like, and that's what I like about Arthur, is that he does. And after he gets diagnosed and you go to do more of those loan shark missions, you can absolve the debt. You can go and you can forgive them. And then you meet up with the family of the guy that you beat up and had tuberculosis, because he ends up dying, and you take the money from the family anyway, which is horrible, right? But he meets up with them and tries to help them, and the wife wants nothing to do with him, and you help out the kid, and basically she's like, it's your fault we're even in this predicament. Why are you doing this? And he's like, I know, don't thank me. I have to do it. And basically, she wants nothing to do with his redemption. But I really like that, and I can't wait to go and see further on. Of course, I called that like almost 2 months ago. I was like, man, I I think we're going to play as Arthur, and then Arthur's going to die, and then we'll take over as John, and then it'll bridge the gap. And that's exactly what's going on. But I'm nowhere near disappointed by that because, part of me wants to throw in the original game right after I'm done with this to play through that story. But the other part of it is that the engine and everything else has advanced so much that going back to the original game now is going to feel like, man, this is archaic. But, they did such a good job of telling their story, adding so much depth to the original game now. That's like the real thing about this is that the original game did so well, and it's a really great story, like especially for that for that period. And now like this game outdoes that tenfold for me, and it adds so much to the context of the original game, and it's outsold it by like almost. I don't know if it's double yet because I think the original game sold 15 million in 8 years, and I've heard somewhere that the new one is probably over 20 million by now. That is amazing. That to break that number in 8 days for 8 years. That's nuts, man. I would recommend everybody go play Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a little long. It's a little on the long side. There's never a shortage of things to do. So if you want an open world where you can just go and run around and do stuff, you do have to play the story to an extent to get so far to be able to get access to new things. So if you don't want to play the story, just know that you got to do a little bit of it at least. But there's hunting, there's fishing, and these things are, they're pretty deep. You can go and you can get these pelts, and where you shoot the animals depends on the quality of the meat and pelts that you get. You can go and sell them and get new stuff. You can get new satchels made like out of that kind of stuff. And that's something that I didn't start doing until towards the end. And now I want to do it more. And now I actually want to get that stuff. But then you can go do, there's so much stuff you can go do. You can sit down for hours and just play cards. Buy into a table for like $3 and then just sit down until you lose all your money or whatever. I did spend a lot of time playing poker and blackjack. I did some of that. I think I only played dominoes once, and that was at the camp. That's one thing that I did miss, though. There was time-sensitive stuff, like side stuff, that if you miss it, you miss it. Because there are certain characters who die, a lot of them. And there's, earlier on in the game, you get activities. You can go hunting, fishing, or stagecoach robbing with these characters. And if you go do it, you get specific dialogue, right, to help flesh out these characters even more, that you don't get if you don't go. So there's some characters that I missed that with, and I do regret that, because then it's like, okay, yeah, all right, I won't do that, because the way that I played the game, I play it for a couple hours and then I come back to camp and talk to everybody, and the dude be sitting there wanting to go hunting, and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm going to bed. I can't, man. But so that's the only thing is that it is a pretty long game, but then the gameplay is also it's good enough. I will say that it's not perfect. It's not as smooth as some other action games or like shooters. It's definitely flawed in that respect, but I think it does a pretty decent job of trying to be this big, massive game that you can do all this kind of stuff. And I don't think it's going to be as popular as a Grand Theft Auto for sure. I definitely don't think that it's going to be a game that sells 100 million, because in Grand Theft Auto, you got people who just run around online or run around just trying to see how long they can survive. And you can do that in this game, but it's not nearly as fun. The online still is not out. I think the beta is coming soon. They said this month, so maybe next week. But, we'll see how that's, sort of received. But me personally, I said last week that I give it a 9.7. Which is ironically what it's setting on at it's setting on as like an average, like on Metacritic. But I think this game is a 10 because it wasn't just a game; it was a moment. This game it became an emotional ride. I got really attached to Arthur, even though you knew he's gonna die, and I got attached to some other characters too. And even if they don't die, I still got attached. It was the journey, and how cinematic the game was. I feel like the actual story of the game is up there. Like you could easily make this into a TV show and split the parts up of the game into different seasons, like 8 or 10 episode seasons. That's what I like anyway. I don't like super long seasons. But you could make some great story and really flesh out some characters even more because you'd have a little bit extra time in each part. And yeah, like as far as where this, like, I really feel like this game it's probably the highest quality PS4 game or Xbox One game that you're gonna get. Granted, we still have a few to come out. No one knows what Death Stranding is. Ghost of Tsushima looks good. The Last of Us Part 2 looks good. But I really feel like this game is going to be up there in that top 3 or 5 games mentioned. When people look back on this generation, this game is going to be mentioned, and it's already looked at upon very fondly. And I'm sure it got review bombed. I'm sure that those guys came in and tried to level out that score, but I think it's every bit of worth a 10 personally. And I even voted it for my game of the year. Last week I abstained. I said I want to wait till I get more, and I think I got it. The Arthur journey alone fulfilled that for me for sure. So now I'm done gushing about Red Dead. I went on for about as long as I can go on without, like, I'm basically in a weird way just repeating everything I said yesterday, but doing it in a more tired voice because it's early in the morning. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to my tired ass. If you guys did, thank you so much. You guys are the greatest. All you 1,000 strong Podbean followers over at our gracious hosts at Podbean. The Podbean app's great, guys. Go download that and check us out there. That's awesome. And of course, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're pretty much across the platforms and on every single one that you can imagine. We're there, and then we do live recordings on Twitch. If you would have tuned in live this Wednesday, live on twitch.tv/GameAddictsPlay, you would have seen the actual episode, only with a deeper voice, and you would have, But I'm not gonna release that to you guys because I didn't like the clicks either, man. The clicks were awful. But we do the show live each and every Wednesday, and which may or may not air. But that usually when those air, after that, the audio goes out on Thursday to all the podcast services, and then the video from Twitch will go over and be backlogged onto YouTube on Friday morning. So with that, guys, happy holidays to all you guys. We're entering the holidays now. I hope nothing gets too bad for travel for anybody, and you guys have safe travels and you have full bellies. So with that being said, until next time, guys, I've been Brando, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.